This is the President McCormack Podcast with your host, Mark McCormack.
Today on the podcast, with the best hands in all of Watt, Adrian Maco.
I love that joke, by the way. It's Sherwood who started it, right?
I'm pretty sure it was Sherwood.
And then it's just trickling everywhere.
Well, he said, dude, I don't even, did he say the last Ludus? Is that when he said it?
Yeah.
Or has he been doing it the whole time? I don't really know.
No, the last Ludus is when it started. He's like, those hands, man. You've got the fucking prettiest hands I've ever seen. I love it. I think it's hilarious. I think he might be talking about like me playing piano or I talk with my hands too, you know? So or all of the above. I don't know, but I think it's hilarious.
No, he like walked over to me and he goes, have you seen Adrian's hands? And I was like, I don't know.
Did you really?
It's like such an odd question. You're like, I will go look at him. Let's go check these things out. Yeah,
that's fucking hilarious.
He's like, oh, he takes the best care of. He's got the best hands in Watt. I'm like, all right.
That's so funny. I didn't know he did that. I actually don't. I bite my nails. It's a bad habit I have.
Do you really?
I should stop. But yeah, I don't know what it is. Like when I'm stressed or I'm nervous. I'm not nervous right now, so I'm not biting my nails. I feel super chill with you. But yeah, I don't know. I've just always done it, and I want to stop. I'd have a lot prettier hands if I stopped biting my nails.
Now, do you get them worked on? Do you go get
No, dude. No. I mean, Aveeno, in the morning, just Aveeno my body up. That's about it. He might be talking about my rings. Maybe that's why he thinks my hands are so
nice. Might be
nice.
Everything, dude. Your piano playing's freaking dope.
I guess you do have to have somewhat of pretty hands to play piano. Yeah. It's not always pretty learning stuff. You play instruments. When you're learning something, it doesn't sound great. No. A lot of people they talk to my wife Kim. They're like, "Oh, it must be awesome just hearing Adrian play all day when he practices." Like, no, practice does not sound pretty. Yeah. A performance sounds pretty when I could run through a song, right?
Yeah.
But when you're like trying to learn one part over and over and over and over again, it's
four bars.
Yeah, it's so annoying. It's not pretty to listen to.
Now, does she play?
No, she doesn't play. She played a little growing up, piano, violin. Kind of didn't really stick to it. Music really wasn't her calling, so she didn't. And that's hard too. I feel like a lot of parents force their kids to play instruments, and if it's just not their calling, I don't think you should force them to do it. If they have, however, a little bit of interest and you see a drive or a passion in it, push that, right? Push them in the right direction. But I think it wasn't her calling, so she didn't stick to it.
No, dude, we just released our kids from playing piano.
Yeah?
Like, dude, my daughter's really good.
Nice.
And she bitches and moans about it all the time. And like my wife and I have talked a million times about it, right? It's like, well, do we push her? Do we not? Because I look at her, I'm like, well, she's talented for sure. I mean, I'm not saying she's some savant or anything, right?
Sure.
But like, I mean, most of the time, like if I have her play for people will be like, oh, she's like really good. And I'm like, yeah, you should beat her down every morning like I do to go in there and practice the freaking thing,
Right.
And, but we just line the kids up and it's like, hey, here's the deal, guys. We're YOLOing here as a family, right? Mm-hmm. If you hate this, I'm not going to make you do it anymore.
Right.
And so we basically said, you got 1 week. If you practice 5 days out of the 7, you can continue to play piano. Anything less than 5, you're out. And that was kind of like what we did. And like my son practiced every day. And I was just like, what the hell? So I think he's still doing it. I haven't really followed up with my wife. This is like real recent, like within the last couple of weeks. And we went to Disneyland last week. So, but I think on March, so what is it today? Is it 2nd?
Yeah, it's today's 2nd.
Yeah, so yesterday, I think only my son renewed piano, and the other 2 girls just kind of gave it up.
Gotcha.
And I'm like,
I feel like
fight them all the time.
Yeah, I feel like most kids with whatever, I mean, maybe specifically music, the trend that I've seen, I don't have kids yet, but like from parents that have told me, I feel like kids don't want to keep learning piano because they're getting made to play things they don't really want to play.
I agree with that 100%.
When a kid or an adult, because I know this from personal experience, pick a piece that they're passionate about and they love and they're driven to learn it, it's fun. Now it's like something they're really passionate about learning. But obviously there's some theory and technical skills you need to practice, scales, arpeggios, whatever theory, things like that will help you get to that. But if that's all you're drilling and all your teacher is giving you songs that you don't want to learn, it sucks. My first 2 piano teachers were kind of like that. I kind of needed that though, to get the fundamentals down. Yeah. But then after that, my teachers fully focused on like, okay, what do you want to play?
Yeah. Well, and you started as an adult, right?
Yeah. So I've been only playing for almost 5 years.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
So did you just like one day just be like, fuck it, I'm doing the piano?
It was kind of a build-up, not really. So I played guitar growing up. My family did not have a lot of money, so piano lessons or having a piano at home was just not a thing or an option, right? Yeah. But guitar is a cheap hobby to pick up. It's mobile. You can go anywhere. So I was super drawn to rock music, and I played guitar. I just came to me naturally. I naturally have this passion and this drive for music. So I played guitar all growing up. Then in my early 20s, I was getting into like the music production scene. Like I started producing, not like EDM music, more like songwriting music with like guitar. It had some electronic elements. My favorite band is Linkin Park. So if that tells you anything, I was like fusing like electronic elements with like rock elements, some beats, stuff like that, kind of just like a fusion of a sound. But I noticed that I was like, I had no formal training as far as music goes. It's all by ear. And I had things in my head that I was hearing. I was like melodies and chord progressions. And I just did not know my way around the keyboard. Right. And I was just like, it took me hours to figure out what note I wanted to hear. Right. And I was like, dude, this, I need to work smarter, not harder here. Yeah. I was like, and I was pretty broke back then. So I had all this nice production stuff that I had saved up and bought. And I was like, you know what? Like, because I couldn't afford both. I was like, I need to maybe take piano lessons for a year, and then that will, and then I'll go back to music production. I just need the basics. I just need the theory. So I sold all my production stuff. I bought an electronic keyboard that I still have that I'm bringing to your house on Sunday. And I was like, hey, I'm gonna get piano lessons just for a year. Long story short, I started taking lessons, and I fell in love with classical music, and I never went back to producing music. Kim's kind of been pushing me to do that because it's a good outlet to produce music again. But the reason I got to piano was because I wanted to produce music. But then I got introduced to this whole new world of classical music, 18th century romantic era music composers, that I was just like, my mind was blown. Now that I started understanding how music works more and the theory behind it, I was like, yo, these guys are freaking geniuses. Yeah. And I didn't appreciate it before then. But that's kind of how I got to where I play piano now. Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
See, it's funny for me because I, right before I went on my LDS mission, I was actually learning musical theory from a professor up at the U. Privately. I wasn't in a class or anything. So I paid him privately like every week. And I always joke with people about the guitar because I can pick a guitar up and I sound pretty good. Like people are like, oh, you play.
Yeah, for sure.
But like, you understand this, right? There's a bell curve in music. There's beginners that can't do a damn thing.
Sure.
Right? They can't really hear it. They might be pitch, tone, deaf, kind of
can't keep a rhythm, very choppy.
Like slappy and just like, right? Then you learn a couple fun songs, and like even like the worst of us can memorize 5 songs,
sure,
right, and just kind of pound out 3 chords. Any Blink 182 song,
right? Exactly.
But then there's this massive bell curve. On the backside of that bell curve is like up to mastery, right? Where there are very few people that are masters of whatever instrument that they're in. And I remember kind of being on a clear path to like where I was like, yeah, I'm like going to be really good at guitar. And so I was in bands in high school, and I like remember like being like, this would be the baddest ass freaking job ever, dude. Just to like perform in front of people.
Dude, that was my dream.
Oh, wouldn't it be awesome?
I know.
And I'm like, I look at it now and I'm like, it's funny too. I'm like, it's like with like the NFL with me, right? It's like, yeah, there's like being a rock star and people singing your songs. And then there's the dark side of it where you're 45 years old and you're in a coffee shop and you've been doing this for 25 years and won't give the dream up, right?
Right.
But you're just not that good. You know,
that's the hard part, is like you can be so good too, and you just, if you don't always make it, right?
No,
you have to be marketable. There's so much behind making it, right? You can't just be a master at your guitar too. You have to have something special.
I'll tell you something badass that I'm doing. So I have a friend who thinks he owes me a favor, right? He's been a friend of mine since he was like 13 years old, right? And he just has connections into Nashville, right? And so in April, I'm going to Nashville and I'm interviewing on my podcast like 8 to 10 songwriters.
No way.
And they're all like, I mean, they're all like, they have hits like Taylor Swift, like you name them. I don't know all the country guys that well, but like they are the songwriters. They tour, they do all sorts of stuff. And I am so excited I can't see straight. And he literally like called them up. They're like buddies, right? So I'm going to go interview a bunch of them. I'm going to rent a podcast studio out there, right?
I love that. It's
and then
so
I'm
sick.
I know. And then I'm taking some of my poetry that I write.
I don't know you wrote poetry.
Yeah, a lot.
Love that, bro.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear some of it sometime.
Oh, anytime, dude. Yeah, I love sharing it with people that like it. Yeah.
That's
But
awesome.
they're going to turn it into a song for me.
Wow.
Well, they're going to try to. I'm sure they will. I mean, it's like second nature for them.
Yeah, well, songwriting in itself is a skill, right? Because then there's a difference between a songwriter and a performer, right? A lot of these big name artists that we see, they're great performers. They're incredible. They have this X factor, but they have these professional songwriters come in. And I don't think a lot of people, I think, look down upon like collaborating. It's like, oh, someone writes their stuff for them. It's like, well, not necessarily. Maybe some people, they may just flat out get handed a song and that's it, right? But a lot of these bigger artists pull into these professional songwriters with an idea already, like what you're going to be doing with your poetry, and help pull the emotion out and translate it into a song. Yeah. Because that's a skill in itself. That's hard. A lot of people can't do that, right?
Oh, songwriting is super hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like to me, poetry actually flows really easily, right? Like I can kind of, and I'm not a rhymey poet. You know, I don't like to rhyme. I can, like if I feel like it, you know, but but songwriting, man, like to write it to a melody and tell a story and like kind of get it all together, dude, it's an insane skill.
It is.
And I'm in love with singer-songwriters, right? Yeah. So like Katy Perry, you know what I mean? Like, it's funny, like do some of Katy Perry's early stuff, dude, where she was just like her and a guitar. Like, I freaking love it, dude. Like Dashboard Confessional. I love that.
Love Dashboard. The whole,
you do love Dashboard.
The whole emo scene, bro.
Dude.
That was like my time.
Yeah.
I loved the emo scene. Like the whole, when we were young music festival. Did you go to that?
Bro, I just bought VIP tickets this week.
For the next year. You didn't go last year though?
No.
I didn't either. I tried to get tickets like 3 times and it didn't work.
Oh, you got to get them for this time.
Dude, I want to go. I think I do. I love Green Day too. So I know they're headlining it. Yeah. Green Day.
So Blink?
And Blink, yeah. So no, that whole emo scene was like my jam growing up. That was Linkin Park I still listen to them every single day. Yeah. And it's funny you say kind of about, you know, how, you know, poetry and songwriting kind of have this like this similarity. I think they're one of the best to articulate a feeling into a song, right? Yeah. If you just read their lyrics like without any music, it's like, dude, this is poetry. This is the story of this guy's life, like what he's feeling, what's going on. And I love music in that sense because that's how you connect with these people, you know, through these mutual feelings that they're writing about, whether it's Dashboard, whether it's Linkin Park, whether it's Blink, and we all have it, right? But it takes someone like them to become vulnerable and put it on display for everyone. Yeah. So then we can also connect to it,
and art is such an amazing world, and people are so scared to go into it because, like poetry, like when people find out I write poetry, right, they'll come to me and like, and I'm published, right, like so like I've got very minor accolades, right, yeah, and so they'll be like, well, how do you write it? And I'm like, you just write it, you just let it flow, like you just. Whatever, smoke some weed and freaking write. I don't care. Like whatever, dude. Get in a fight with your wife and then go write. You know what I mean? Attach some emotion. And I always tell people, I'm like, what I try and do in poetry is I try and tell a story from an emotion that I'm feeling in the moment. And if someone reads that poem and tells me the emotion that I was writing about or gets close, right, then I've succeeded. And if I let people read it and they're like, oh yeah, this is about this and it's way off, right? I'll be like, I got to rewrite this. Because it's not telling the story that I want it to tell. But then when I do write the story and people get it like right on, they're like, oh, like I just always had this like A/B testing, right? Where like when I hit it on the A, they're like, damn, dude, this is like really good. And I'm like, yeah, it's because you feel the emotion the way that I meant it to come across.
The way that you're articulating it. I love that because it's not just you basically flat out showing your whole hand. You're not just saying like this song is about this, right? You're being a lot more thoughtful about it. You're leaving clues, you're leaving words, emotions, things that is kind of painting this picture. So in a sense, you're trying to paint this picture for someone, and your goal is to get them to feel that same emotion that you were trying to describe, right? One thing I love about music though is a lot of times I love it when artists almost are more vague than direct. like they are talking about a certain feeling or a certain maybe situation, but you can go in, or you and I can both listen to a song and both pull something completely different from it.
Yeah.
Probably similar, but completely something or different, because music is subjective. I think the way that you interpret it is personal too.
Yeah.
So I almost don't like it when artists come out and say like, this song was about this specific, like, and tell the whole story. It's like, well, damn, I interpreted it as this and this. That kind of kills the song for me, you know?
Oh, really?
Yeah. I like the mystery of it, and not knowing exactly what it is. Again, but you have to also get kind of close to it, right? Because it can't just be completely off. So I think it's good that you leave clues, you know, in your poetry.
Well, and I like it too, because like kind of going along with that. Yeah. And music's perfect. Like Linkin Park is a very good example. I love Linkin Park as well. I've seen him in concert at least 4 times I can remember.
No way.
I had a friend who was an insane fan of theirs, and it's like, hell yeah, I go see Linkin Park.
I've seen them live 7 times. I've got a signed vinyl. I've met them twice and everything. I followed them for like 10 years of my life.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So we must have been the same concert. Like, you know, out to, what is it, the Maverick Center now, or the East Center back in the day?
Minutes Midnight Tour, 07.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I've seen them there.
I was there.
Let me think, dude. They were there twice though, right?
They went back for their 2010 1,000 Suns tour. That was the last time they played in Utah, which sucked. So after that, I traveled to LA and all over.
Yeah. I want to say I saw them like in Vegas.
I saw them in Vegas. I saw them in Vegas 2 months before Chester committed suicide.
Really?
On their One More Lie album that released in 2017.
Where was that venue?
It was at the Chelsea Theater.
Oh, I wasn't
in the Chelsea. It's in the Cosmo. It's in the Cosmo. Yeah, it's a theater called the Chelsea, and it was their album release show, and it was in May. Yeah, it was in May of 2017, and then he died July 2017.
Do you think there's a conspiracy behind his death?
It's weird,
I'm asking
man.
a super fan.
Yeah, no, it's weird. I mean, if you would have asked me like in the heat of, that was like the worst month of my life, by the way. Like I felt like my friend committed suicide. It was weird because I had such a connection with this guy and his music, and he helped me through so many difficult moments in my life that it was hard. But to answer your question, I have suspicion.
Yeah.
It's weird because he was doing that whole documentary to release basically evidence and expose some pretty big people, I guess. Him and was it Avicii that also committed suicide?
And Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah,
and Chris Cornell, right?
And Chris. I don't think Chris Cornell was involved in the child sex trafficking thing that they were going to release. It was a documentary.
Yeah. The documentary. Died at the same time,
and it's a weird coincidence that these two people that were going to release this huge documentary that never got released, I don't know what's the status of that is, about sex trafficking, child sex trafficking, just committed suicide out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Right. It's also almost the perfect way to do it because the dude struggled with mental illness and addiction his entire life. Like you listen to his music and it's all over the place. Yeah. And he did some interviews before his death, and he was talking about how he had been struggling. He wasn't in his right mind, and he has to stay busy. If not, if he gets stuck alone by himself in his head, he doesn't get, he's not in a good place. Yeah. So like on paper, it's like, yeah, the dude has suffered. Like he committed suicide. That sucks. He lost that battle. But at the same time, there was so much that was going on, and the timing is just weird.
Yeah.
So there's no hard evidence, but like, if something came out, I'd be like, motherfuckers, I knew. and I would probably be pissed. Yeah. And I'd probably be really angry because then it's like, you guys killed this guy.
Oh, yeah.
And he had so much more life to live.
I mean, I don't know, a spin off of conspiracy theory land, but that shit happens all the time.
Yeah. Like the whole, who was it? Ghislaine Maxwell and who's the guy?
Epstein.
Yeah, like how he died in prison out of nowhere. Like he hung himself, right?
Wink.
Right? Yeah. Wink, right?
Which hasn't happened in that prison for like years.
That's what I'm saying, dude. It's just like, I don't know.
That whole thing's bananas. I don't know. Our society is so comatose to that stuff too. It's like, I mean, you got Bill Gates has been down to the island like 30 times.
Yep.
Like but the list of people that have been down there is insane. It's like almost every A-list celebrity. Tom Hanks was down there a ton. But then you have all this misinformation, right? That's leaked all the time, and there's Twitter lists, and then there's this list, and then there's,
just can you trust?
And it's like,
it's such a,
And then me, at the end of the day, I'm just like, you know what, dude, I'm going to be dead in 50 years, right? Like,
right.
I'm not going to fix this. I can't stop this.
Yeah, I don't think
powerful people.
I think it's cool or not. I think it's all right to like maybe follow it or pay attention to it, but to get it obsessed with it is just a waste of your life. Like, don't try to figure things out. Yeah. You will just spiral.
I have not watched the news since October 2021.
Oh yeah.
So I do have Bloomberg on in my office sometimes. Mm-hmm. So I get some news from that, right? Like world stuff, like obviously I knew that, Ukraine and Russia are in a conflict and stuff like that. But like, I don't listen to local news. I don't do any of that stuff. And it is like freed my mind.
I bet, dude, the news is extremely negative. I feel
and 24/7 news cycle.
It's horrible. I think maybe 5-10% of it is like, here's a positive story, like something cool just happened in our community. The rest is shit.
Yeah.
The rest is what's wrong with the world. Like, people who I definitely seen that trend, and I'm not going to name them, but I can name a few people who I know just have the news on 24/7. That's all they watch, and the world is ending, and then their world is ending. The sky is falling because you are what you consume, right? What you consume. It affects your health, your mental health, your spiritual health. Like, so if you're just consuming a bunch of negative shit and what the media is feeding you over and over again of what's wrong with the world, and no wonder like you're just running around like being a conspiracy theorist.
Well, yeah. And another thing that's crazy too is like, you look at the financial side of it all. Like, I have heard nothing but we're in a recession's coming, blah, 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 forever. And, you're a real estate agent. I mean, you've heard all this crap, and it's like, what's the indicator? Where is the indicator? I could be in a conversation with someone who watches the news and they will go berserk arguing with me. And I love to argue. So it's like, let's do it. Yeah. Right. And then, you just go, okay, name an economic indicator of why we're in a recession, and people cannot name it. Unemployment's fine. We printed some ungodly amount of money. I have no idea. 4 trillion, 8 trillion, a billion trillion, 100 billion, million trillion. I don't know. It's all funny money.
We've been doing that though.
I know, but that's my thing. It's like, so home prices exploded the last 3 years, right? And it's like, did they explode because we printed money?
No.
You don't think?
I don't think. I mean, well, I guess how far back you want to trinkle it. I think the reason it exploded, it was a little, maybe fabricated, it's not the right word, but it was set up to do that. The feds knew what they were doing when they dropped rates below 3%.
Yeah.
Like they knew demand was going to increase like crazy. But then everyone was scared to list their house for sale because of the virus. So our inventory was at record lows.
Right.
Interest rates were at record lows, and demands were at record high. Supply and demand. What happens? Prices go up.
Yeah.
You name your price because there's nothing to pick from and everyone wants it.
Right.
So,
well, see, I can agree with that. But if you look at inflation as a whole, inflation is actually great for certain things, for eating up debt. Right. So, my mortgage on my house is from like, I don't know, 2018 or something like that. And it's tiny comparative, right? Because home prices have inflated up, right? And supply and demand is absolutely an indicator of that, right? And that's absolutely true. But I look at how much, you print money, you decrease the value of the dollar. Right.
That's true too.
And so, which just floats everything back up. So as inflation floats up, gallon of milk, I have no idea what a gallon of milk costs. $5, $6.
I don't drink milk. So.
Yeah. I used to watch these things where they'd like ask these billionaires what a freaking gallon of milk
eggs are up. I eat a lot of eggs. Eggs are way up. Eggs are for sure up.
But have you ever seen those things that ask billionaires like normal stuff, like what's a loaf of bread cost? They're like, I have no idea. Dude, I'm like,
I'm not paying attention.
I have no idea what a loaf of bread costs, and I'm sure as shit not a billionaire.
No. Absolutely.
But I do know that as inflation goes up, I'm just kind of like, I think this is more of the new norm, because they phrase it as like, well, prices have gone up and a recession is going to hit and it's all going to come crashing down. And I'm like, I don't think so. Because demand's still up and supply's still low, right?
Especially here in Utah, things are starting to heat up. Last year, there was a lot of fear in the market, so that's when prices started going down, rates were higher, and people were just scared. The dust has settled, dude. Multiple offers are back. Like,
oh, really?
Dude, I was just bidding on a house by the U in East Central. I got 15 offers in 3 days. The right house in the right neighborhood is still getting, at the right price, is still getting multiple offers, because we're teetering around 6,000 to 7,000 active homes right now across the whole Wasatch Front. A healthy market for Utah and our population is about a 6-month supply, around 10,000 homes. So we're in a deficit right now. Yeah, we're still low.
Is luxury coming down?
Luxury, I would say anything above like 900, 800. Once you break that threshold, things are starting to wiggle down a little more.
Okay.
They're harder to sell just because your buyer pool is smaller.
Yeah.
But I think I would be lying if I said like in general across the board luxury is going down. No, not necessarily, but it's harder to sell your house now.
I know a lot of the custom home builders that I deal with, because we do a lot of hoops inside their stuff. They're cash only customers.
Yeah.
Like the amount of cash only customers is astounding to me.
Right.
They're building a $7.5 million home and the people are just paying cash for it. Now, to me, I mean, people who are wealthy, right, use debt. Okay. It's totally. It's very apparent. It's very true. You got guys like Grant Cardone like shout about it all the time. Right. But like the reality of it is it's like, yeah, of course. Right. If I have a $7 million asset, I can go pull historically the last couple of years, you can pull a loan of 3.5% or 4.5% on that property for $5 million and go invest that money and then go make some money against it. Right.
Exactly. I don't understand that either. I feel like even if I was a billionaire, I wouldn't buy a house 10 million out cash, maybe at first, but then I refied ASAP.
No, I mean, that's what I did with my house. I actually paid cash for it, and then I refied it.
Yeah, like if it's competitive or you have to come in with cash to beat other offers or something, but like...
Right, that's what I want to do, just close it.
I don't get it, though. Yeah, I don't understand that mindset either. It's like, why would I put all my eggs in one basket and one asset? It's like...
Well, and plus you're writing off your interest, too.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Like your effective interest rates, another 3/4 of a point lower, maybe 1.5 points, depending on your tax structure.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't know, it's weird, right?
It's that Dave Ramsey, that bastard. I'm so sick of that guy. Like, Dave Ramsey is great advice. I think Jimmy says this a lot. If you are bad with money, like or you're bad with debt, you don't know how to use debt, because there's good debt, there's bad debt, and there's very smart ways to use debt. Yeah. I think you're probably a perfect example of someone who knows how to use debt in a smart way, not in a reckless or disruptive way, right? Yeah. But people who don't know the language of money or know how to think a little deeper as far as like, okay, if I'm going to take this loan out, this is what it's going to mean. This is what the numbers are going to mean. Be smart about it. They should pay everything cash. They shouldn't carry any credit card debt or have credit cards at all. Right.
Yeah. Cause it locks their container.
Exactly. Me personally, I use a credit card. I think debit card is the stupidest thing in the world. Like,
I haven't had a debit card in 15 years. They are the stupidest thing in the world.
But for people who have no self-control, they are the only option. Right. Because if you hand someone who has no self-control a credit card with a high limit, you get screwed. Right.
Well, you know what's funny with me? So I have little judgments I make of people. Right. I still hug them and love them and want to hang around them. Right. But and this might be a gut check for people listening to this. If you only have a debit card, you generally have shit credit, which tells me that you basically aren't good with money. So when I see people just constantly use debit cards, I'm like, you're someone that doesn't understand money, because money is a tool. Right?
Yeah. It's funny that you say that, because that used to be me. I filed bankruptcy when I was 18, 19 years old.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, dude. So again, my family, we didn't come from a lot of money. So long story short, I needed this sinus surgery. I had really bad sinuses growing up. And I was under my mom's health insurance. My mom had to leave that job for whatever reason, and my health insurance dropped me halfway through my procedures. So at 18, 19 years old, I got slapped with medical bills of like, I think it was like $40,000 or $50,000, which at that time was like I was thinking I was making like $12 an hour. Like I was not right in a position to do that. And I had no education about money, how money worked, what my options really were. I didn't even know I could get on a payment plan. Those creditors, of course, would tell me, no, we need full payment. Yeah. So I was freaking out, and then I sit down with a bankruptcy attorney. They're like, "Oh, all your problems go away. Give me $1,200."
Right.
I'm like, "Sweet." And so I did it. Gave back the car I had, a repo to the car. All my medical debt was gone. I got free braces because I threw that in the bankruptcy too. And it was stupid. Ethically, that probably wasn't the best thing to do in hindsight. But long story short, then I realized what a bankruptcy does to your credit. and your opportunities. There are none. Once you have that, and at 18, at 19, when is effectively when you start to build credit, right? Or start to, your financial life. I was like 10 steps back.
Yeah.
It sucked. I had to get a shitty car with a shitty interest rate because no one would lend to me. No credit cards were looking at me. It took at least 4 or 5 years for me to like get that back up, get the things removed from my credit report. But at that time, all I was using was debit cards because no credit cards would look at me. Right. And for the longest time, I always wanted an Amex. That was like, the card to get. Right. And this year actually is, the bankruptcy was in 2013. So it's 10 years this year. And so they're all going to fall off after this, even though my credit's way better now. I've gotten mortgages, I've gotten, cars, all this stuff. But this last year, I finally got approved for the Amex. But Amex wouldn't look at me for years because I had that bankruptcy on there. Yeah. Regardless, I still used like a startup Capital One card, and I started becoming more educated about money and how I can use credit cards to my advantage to give myself back money and points and things like that. Yeah. But if you don't have anyone teaching you all this stuff, especially at a young age or in school, I feel like they should teach something like this in school. Then you just go out into the world and you're like me. You file bankruptcy at 18 years old because you think that's the solution. It's not. Right. And sometimes it is. I know people's situations are different. I can only speak to mine, but I wish I would have had someone to talk to me, sit down and be like, listen, maybe you don't have to file bankruptcy. Maybe you have options. You can get on a payment plan. You can do this, you can do that. You can work. I probably could have had that debt paid off in a few years instead of filing bankruptcy, but I wanted the easy way out and I didn't know I had options. Yeah. So yeah, I feel for that for sure. Yeah,
no, it's interesting. Let's just call it financial literacy, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's crazy what people don't know. And it's weird because once you know it, you're kind of like, well, yeah, but like, I mean, I get it, right? If you don't have a mentor or a parent or a friend or someone just being like, hey, and our society kind of has this weird thing, right? Where we're like not supposed to talk about money.
It's this taboo thing to talk about money.
I mean, you can look like a douchebag on Instagram all day with your Lamborghini that you're renting for $4,000 a month, right? That's cool. But like actually being like, hey, how do we actually do this, guys? Like, why the hell am I paying so much money in taxes? And it's like, well, let's talk about it.
Right.
People just don't actually talk about the functionality of money and like how it's just really a process and how like investing in certain things. I mean, even in our walk group, right? I mean, you'll hear people be like, well, I got destroyed on this investment. And I'm just like, every time I hear that, I'm like, it's because you're just throwing your money at stuff. You have no idea what you're doing. You never took the time to educate yourself. There's 50,000 videos. There's 50 million videos on YouTube on financial literacy. And some of these guys are brilliant, just explaining it and like.
And you don't need to be a genius. You just need to know the basics.
Right.
Like I would bring people, like if I was going into a big investment, like for example, like real estate, right? Let's say I had no idea about real estate, which blows my mind why we get such a bad rap. No one listens to me. It's like I do this shit all day. You don't know anything about real estate. You're listening to the dumbass at TikTok that gave you this stupid advice, and I have to work backwards from there. But me personally, like if I didn't know anything about real estate, I would be like, I need to talk to a professional, right? Or if I was I was maybe acquiring a business or wanted to buy something or invest in it, I'd probably hit you up and be like, hey, does this look like a good deal? Yeah. Like, because I don't know, right? I only know what I know, right? So I think at least knowing the basics of financial literacy is where you need to be. And if you start going into different avenues, pull people in your network that are doing it, right? Oh, yeah. And lean on experts in that area, right?
Well, did you hear about that tribe call that Jimmy and I did?
Yeah, I do.
The financial stuff,
I was there. I was on it.
Oh, were you on it?
Yeah, I was on that tribe call, yeah.
It was funny. That whole thing came to fruition because I had a couple guys bring me some deals and I was like, what is this? You know what I mean? And they're just like, oh, and I'm like, I mean, you know me, right? I can like tease you, but like still love you, right? Sure. So I'm like, what were you thinking? Oh, I don't know. I just, I thought they would do it for me. It was all this kind of stuff. And then I saw a couple other deals and other guys were kind of talking to me. And I was like, okay, I need to like advertise everybody like, hey, guys, in our group, if you do a bad deal, that is unacceptable. There are so many resources inside our group. And so that's when I told Jimmy, I'm like, dude, I'm like, hey, we got to come up with something. I'm like, I'll do a little special thing. He's like, just jump on the tribe call next week. I was like, all right. You know what I mean? Like, this is me all day, every day. So I can talk about that till my blue in the face.
Right.
But I was like, I was just like, guys, do you have a budget? Do you have a personal budget?
Right.
And guys are like, kind of get that little look on the Zoom calls, right? And I'm like, step one, boys.
Step one.
You cannot invest in something unless you understand the budget. And you can't, like, the budget is really where just everything begins, right? Because it's where you learn the discipline of what things cost. Right. I bring in X amount of dollars is what everything costs, and I'm left with disposable income at the end.
Right.
And then you get to choose what you want to do with that disposable income.
Right.
If it's $500 a month, you're going to buy some ETFs or mutual funds. Well, not mutual funds. I'll smack people that buy mutual funds. You're going to buy ETF or index funds. Right. And then if you get a couple $1,000s at the end, it's like, okay, what do you want to do with this? Do you want to buy some rental properties, right?
Right.
Great cash flow in rental, you know what I'm saying? And long-term appreciation.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of...
And tax benefits.
Yeah, there's a lot of security and safety inside real estate.
Oh, yeah.
Now, yes, if you go overpay by $100,000 and the market moves and you don't have the cash flow to support not having a tenant for 6 months, you're going to be in a little bit of trouble.
Right.
Right. So let's talk to an expert, right? It's just, I don't know, man. It's such a funny world where guys are like, it's like, to me, that's such common sense, right? Like, if I'm going to go buy a stock, like, I would go talk to my friends that own a bunch of stock or people I know, even a financial advisor at the bank.
Right.
Like, if you bank with any bank, there's a financial advisor in almost every branch.
Right.
Like, and they're going to pitch you. Don't get me wrong.
On their products.
Yeah. And they're going to push in a mutual fund, and whatever. And you're going to sit there and be like, no, explain to me how this works. Why would I buy Apple stock?
Right.
And that dude will know enough to like be like, this is why. How do you value a business? How do you value a stock?
Right.
And I think that skill, it's actually pretty simple to learn. It's very simple to learn how to value a business, but you have to have a level of confidence that you trust your numbers.
Right.
Right. Good or bad.
Right.
You know, and part of that, you got to get burned a couple of times, right? It's good to get burned.
I know I have, and I've learned some great lessons on getting burned. And what you're describing is exactly, in hindsight, it's exactly why I got burned, is because I didn't know what I was doing. I was just throwing money, seeing what stuck. And for that fact, I've never been burned in real estate so far. So
good, man.
Real estate has been a good for me. And so I kind of just stay in my lane, which can be good, but maybe also bad. My goal this year is to diversify a little more.
Yeah.
But real estate's been good to me. I love it when someone else who's not a realtor says that, though, because when I say it, they're like, oh yeah, well, because you're a realtor, so you just want to sell houses. It's like, yeah, motherfucker, I do want to sell houses, but I'm also here to help you make a good decision.
Yeah.
Like, I think the reason people come to me or keep coming back to me or refer me their families, because they feel that I'm not just there to make a quick buck. One, I'm in it for a long game. I want a relationship with you. I don't want to just get a quick buck and be like, bye. I want you to refer me to people. So I will talk you out of a deal. I will point out the negatives, the risk, and then you're an adult. You decide.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's not my job either. Right. To tell you exactly what to do. My job is to advise you.
Yeah.
And as long as you understand everything and you still want to move forward, then let's do it. But I've talked people out of submitting offers on houses. I've talked people out of listing their homes for sale, and that made me zero money.
Right.
But they respected me, and I left an impression with them that is going to pay off in the future.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, so even in my small businesses that I own, it's the same thing, right? Like you live on reputation.
Yeah.
You know, especially everything. A realtor. A realtor is a big time because there's a bazillion of you.
Yeah. And the shitty ones make the good ones look bad.
They do.
Yeah. Right? But people already hate me and they don't even know me because of they worked with a shitty one.
Yeah.
So, you
almost have to do the takeaway with people, right? Mm-hmm. Where you're just like, yeah, I don't know if you can be a client of mine. I don't know if you kind of qualify. And they're just like, yes, I do. I'm an amazing buyer. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. I kind of got my guys I work with. And then people are like begging you, right? To be their realtor. But I don't know. It's almost like too, like social media. It cracks me up. And you'll hear me shit all over social media, right? Because I can talk to someone for 10 minutes. If we're having an open conversation, I can tell you if they're wealthy or not. It's there's some major tells, right? And the same thing, I can tell when people are faking it really, 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 really easy. And like I always joke with people like buying Lamborghinis, right? It's the stupidest investment in the world, right?
Unless you own a luxury car company, right?
Maybe, yeah. Maybe. I mean, yeah, if you're flipping them, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're just driving them or you got a new car every day. Right. Sure. Because you just basically...
It's an asset at that point.
Yeah, you're just driving your inventory, right?
Right.
But like, and I have friends who have Lamborghinis, and I'm like, good for you. Like, here's the thing: if it's your dream car, and you were like, I want a Lamborghini for whatever reason, just because you look cool,
You
whatever,
love cars,
right?
yeah.
And you worked hard and you made goals and you can support it, great. But I'm not joking, dude. If you're not worth $100 million, like, fuck you money, basically, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a stupid investment because they're $300,000 to $900,000.
That's crazy.
They're depreciating. You know, the second you drive that thing away or the transaction happens, you've lost $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. And it's like, if you put $500,000 into an index fund or, 2 rentals, the cash flow that comes off of that over the lifespan of 10 years, like even Jimmy, right?
Yeah.
Jimmy did a video a while ago where he's like, I should have bought Tesla stock, not a Tesla. That is the principle I'm talking about.
Facts.
Right?
That's a good one.
Yeah. And it's like, and Tesla stock popped and like, there's a lot of like hindsight to that, right?
Sure.
But at the same time, it's also like, you can drive a nice vehicle, but you don't have to have plus, I mean, who the hell fits in a Lamborghini? I sure as shit don't. Which
I
is
sure
another
shit
reason
don't.
I can shit on them.
Because that's why.
I can't
It's
even
because
fit in
you
the
can't
damn
fit
thing,
in them. I think everyone has their thing too. Like for me, I'm not a car guy. The reason I have a Tesla is because of the tech. I am a tech guy. I love technology and automation and stuff like that. And it just makes sense for my job. Yeah. Like I got my yearly fuel report or whatever. I spent about $1,200 charging my car all last year. Wow. And it was the equivalent of almost 5,000 in gas. It was like 4,600.
That's cool.
In gas. So I saved a ton of money with how much that I drive. Yeah. But I'm not a car guy. But for me, my splurge was I bought my first grand piano last year.
Oh, a full grand?
A full grand. Well, it's a 6 foot.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, or 5 feet 11 inch, something stupid or whatever, like that. I round up 6 feet. Yeah, it's a Hoffman. It's a German brand.
Wait, is that considered a baby grand?
I don't know that cutoff. I think.
Do you remember how I said I have a baby grand? My mom gave me the piano because she used to have it in her house and didn't want it, right? And I was just like, whatever, I'll take this. But I think it's about that same size.
So about 6 feet. I don't know the cutoff. I actually just had the owner of MJ Pianos in American Fork here on my podcast, and I'll ask him and I'll let you know. Yeah. He sold it to me, but yeah, that was a big step for me, and that was kind of my splurge there because it's something that I liked.
But people need to do that too,
right?
You need to splurge on some crazy stuff. Like my brother Brett owns a marketing company. We used to own it together, and then he owned one before, and like there's a bunch of layers of that. And like, I remember when I was working with him, like he would make goals, right? He'd be like, hey, this month, if I hit this many in sales, I'm going to go buy myself an AR, right? Or this year, if I do this, I'm going to buy myself this side by side. It was always very nice, right? I think his side by side is $45,000 or something. Who the hell knows? Those things are so expensive. I don't even know. But he'd always reward himself, and that was his thing, right? But it made him push, right? He was like, and it's like, yeah, that's the way that these things should work, But when it comes down to like straight investments, like here's a funny thing with boats, right? So I bought a boat a couple years ago for like $35,000 with 2 buddies.
Yeah.
Right. So, because who the hell drives a boat every week, right? So I was like, hey, let's use this thing.
Especially in Utah.
Yeah. But when I went to the market, right, dude, boats, they're like $200,000.
Yeah. Up
and up, right? I have one friend, and they make really good money. I mean, I don't know. I say this, but it's still like he has like a $400,000 boat. Wow. And I was actually on his other boat. I think that one he gets it this year, and that's their thing. They love it, right? So like, good for you. And it's pimping. Right? Yeah. Don't get me wrong. It's an Aeronautique, Nautilus, blah blah blah, 25 footer, blah blah blah, and but I cannot help but do the math in my head where I'm like, if I invested that money, I would, you know what I mean? But at some point though, if that's your thing, that's your thing.
Right.
But then I'm also looking at my kids and I'm like, dude, if I had a $400,000 boat and my wife bashes it against the dock, or one of my buddies hits against the dock, or some kid jumps off of the platform and scratches it with a wakeboard, like I'm losing my mind. Right. Right. Now my boat, I don't even give a shit if someone bounces it off the dock a little bit, as long as it doesn't sink. Right. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, whatever. Wear your shoes in it. I don't care.
Love tap.
Yeah. I've got little kids. All we do is pull tubes. Yeah. So we have like a Bang & stereo system. I ripped out some of the interior. We're kind of redoing the interior, to make it look nice. And it's an Aeronautique from 06. Nice. It was the belle of the ball in 2006.
You're right. It was the luxury boat back then.
It was pimping. And it fits exactly what we need. And like, I don't know. I look at that. I'm like kind of proud of myself that I didn't like blow a bunch of money, but I also don't really judge people either. Like if you want a super nice boat and that's your jam, knock yourself out.
Right.
You know, but, yeah, I don't know, man. It's funny though. Like you can look at people, I guess kind of going back to what I was saying, but even like the private jet world now, like people get into the private jet world and people are like, oh dude, that guy has so much money. But then they actually qualify that person that they're either a good investor or a good business person.
Right.
And I'm like, that does not equate each time. It just doesn't.
Sure.
You know, I mean, I know guys that there's like 40 people that own the jet. They get to use it like once a year.
Fractional ownership.
Yeah. And it's like, it's not the same as like you tell your pilots you want to go to Paris or you're jumping on your G6.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know?
Totally.
But not that it's not cool. You know, don't get me wrong. Have you ever flown private?
No, I haven't.
It's
You want to take me?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a plane?
No, not yet.
Not yet. You're in the market.
That is, so the plane's actually my flex. Like the thing that like I want to get is a plane because
that's your goal.
But I've traveled so much too that I'm like, it's really cool, right? So like when you go on them, like you just show up to the hangar. There's no security. There's nothing. You just go get in the plane. It's like
that's what I've heard.
It's like driving a boat.
Nice.
Kind of park your car, grab some of your stuff, go jump on the plane. They back it out or it's already backed out. You just walk on, jump in, they pull the door, kiss your butt a little bit, and then you're off in like 5 minutes.
Right.
They just taxi over and, you know, whatever number you're in line, poof, you're gone.
Nice.
And so it's amazing. But some of those planes are also super tiny too.
I've seen that.
You know?
I've seen that. And can't you like there's a company where you can go in and just take a picture of you on a private plane for like $200 or something like that.
Oh, I'm sure.
A lot of influencers are doing that shit. And I'm like,
really?
That's so fucking lame. That's so lame. Like
it's lame because people believe it.
It's lame because
You know?
they think that gives them some type of superiority or status.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about that stuff.
No.
Money's important. It's very important, but it's definitely not everything. And it doesn't, and I don't think success is only measured in a monetary way. Right.
You know what I'm coming up with? A pie chart for success. I think financial is less than 25% of that chart.
I would agree with that.
Because you just need to stabilize yourself.
Yeah, we need a lot less than we think we need, right?
Yeah.
And again, I think it's great to be ambitious and have the goals. Go for the boat, go for the piano, go for the Lamborghini if you want, but those aren't things you need, right? And so I agree with that. I think maybe 25% of it is financial. The rest, if you really want to be successful in life, there's so much that goes into it. Your relationships, your mental health, your physical health. Yeah. There's so many guys that just focus money, and then their health, their physical health, and in return, their mental health is just in the pits.
Well, I'll tell you a dude that most people will know is Larry H. Miller.
It's so funny. I was just about to say that.
Were you really?
He died. Yeah. He died he was diabetic, right?
Yeah, way young. I mean,
like one of the most
60.
One of the most manageable diseases in the world right now. Yeah. Like being diabetic is not a death sentence initially.
No.
Right? It's like, okay, you need to change some habits, take some medication, watch yourself, and you can live somewhat of a normal life.
Yeah. And I don't know him very well.
I don't either.
I don't know him at all. He's not like a friend or anything. I've never even met him.
You just know the story.
But I know the story. And I look at him and I'm like, bro, you were worth billions when you died. And I'm sure he was the hardest worker ever. I'm sure he was brilliant. I'm sure he was probably friendly and fun. But it's like, dude, you needed to get healthy at some point. And if you would have gotten healthy, you would have lived to 80. And it's like, what good is all that money if anyone would trade $1 billion for 20 more years?
Yeah.
Healthy years, 20 more healthy years.
Yeah. For what? Exactly. Yeah. Like what was.
You to see your grandkids, you to see your friends.
Exactly.
You know? How cool would it be to be retired and like you and your boys like golf every morning? You know what I mean? Just like have some routine, like all the stuff that you earn.
Right. Right. Absolutely. No, I think it's something that a lot of people, especially like when you're in your 20s and you're like money, grind. Yeah. It's important, but it's your mental and your physical health can slip really quick. That happened to me my like 2020 to 2022 when the market was hot, dude. I was just slinging houses and things were great, but I was like 2021, I sold almost 50 houses, and on Instagram, I looked happy. My bank account looked great. but I was dead inside, dude.
Yeah.
I was like probably one of the lowest I've ever been in my entire life as far as mental health, relationships. I was alone. It was bad. And it's easy to dive back into the money making because that was the only sense of accomplishment that I had. Everything else was in the pits.
Right.
And that all kind of led me to like the walk group, honestly, because February 2022, I started therapy because I was like, dude, I am not okay. Like I need help. And then in May I joined Y, and that has been, and then so in 2022 I sold 35 homes, less than what I did the year before. And I think old Adrian would have been like, damn it, like, what a bad year, what a failure, right?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't trade it for the world because I'm so much happier now and so much more balanced now. I know who I am. I have standards. I have a great tribe, a great community now, and it's just I like you said, I wouldn't trade $1 billion for it.
Yeah,
because it's not worth it.
No, it's not. And I've actually put my health down the list of physical health. My mental health has always been really good, but my physical health has been down the list, because I have for 10 years have foregone going to the gym. I mean, I kind of go, then I kind of don't go. And then then I'm busy. So I eat, then I travel. So I'm eating crap. And then a lot of times when you travel by yourself, you're like, well, I'm going to go freaking eat something good.
Right.
The amount of 5-star restaurants I've ate in by myself.
That's so interesting.
People.
I'm the opposite.
Really?
Yeah. If I'm by myself, that's when I can do the best. I can be like, okay, well, I've got no one else to really like tempt me or lead me astray. I'm eating my shit. I'm eating my macros. It's when I'm out with people when I'm like, here we go, shots.
Right. Well, I do have that side of it too. No, I would go. I'm like, hey man, I'm in Chicago. I'm here for 2 days. So that, second night I'm in whatever.
Yeah.
Some steakhouse.
You're a big foodie. Huh?
I'm a huge foodie. Yeah.
No, you are.
Especially the good food.
Yeah.
Oh, good food. So good.
What's that place in Park City you said I need to go to?
River Horse.
River Horse. I'm going today, actually.
To River Horse?
No, well, to Park City.
Oh,
so we'll see if they have it. If they have it.
I mean, what is it today?
Today
Thursday? Yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah, you should be able to get in.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell him big. I know Mark McCormick.
Yeah, tell Mark McCormick.
He said you'd have a table ready for me.
Cool.
Who?
I make that joke all the time. So Jimmy where was he at? He was in like Norway with his buddies, and he made this post. He's like, oh, these guys won't let us in, blah, blah, blah. And I just hit him back. I'm like, just tell him Mark McCormack said. He said you're friends with Mark McCormack. And
he did it?
I don't know. No, I think he just rolled back like, some smiley faces or something, I do that shit all the time.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, but dude, you gotta enjoy life, man. And it's hard to teach people, right? Because you do have to work hard and smart. Right. That's part of enjoying life. Mm-hmm. But it's not a teeter-totter.
No.
It is a full system every day. Mm-hmm. I've fought for years to have like a set in stone morning routine. And I'm in Disneyland or Disney World with my wife last week. We went from I can't remember, we got delayed a day, but whatever, Wednesday to Tuesday, right? And I'm like, why do you fight this, man? Like, why do you just freaking do it? Like, it would be so much better for you if you go to the gym in the morning with your wife who goes to the gym every single day,
nice.
Like you will just naturally be healthy. It's like the people you spend the most time around, right? Like you'll become healthier. Like you try and go at the end of the day, but your days are full. They're busy. I've got all this shit going on. Then I start feeling guilty. I'm not with my kids. And you know what I mean? It's just this stupid mental game that I've been playing. And I'm like, yeah, I just need to succumb to this. And so I'm on day 2 because we were in Disney World, right?
Congrats.
And it's nice, but some of the things that I've put into it are like meditation.
Yeah.
And reading, and we're writing a book together, my wife and I. So so as we drive to the gym, we read to each other, right? Now today we worked out in our gym in our house. So she read to me while I was on the cardio machine, and then she was kind of doing some weights, and we were kind of reading back and forth and stuff. And then when she gets on the cardio machine, I was reading to her for a minute, and we're reading The Way of the Superior Man.
Oh, I'm almost done with that one.
Do you like it?
I love it. You don't like it? How come?
I don't know yet. I don't want to have a full opinion. I'm on chapter 10. So we're 2 days into it, right?
Interesting. I thought you would like it.
Me too. So chapter 9, which is like, I can't remember what it's called. Like, see the world with love. I just felt like that whole chapter, I was like, what is he saying? I do not get what he is saying. That's when you like make love to the world and your woman.
Oh, penetrate.
Yeah, you got to penetrate the
your
world,
woman.
sheath your member and go. And I'm like, what do you mean?
Right. It's
so,
yeah. No, I think it's just given me. It's not perfect, and all the stuff he talks about. It's not like a blanket like rule over everyone's life, right? But I think it's definitely made me more aware of the polarity of feminine and masculine energy.
Okay.
And when I see it in people, because we have it, right? We have feminine energy, we have masculine energy, women, same. So it's not gender specific, but like I can recognize those roles now, and I see it like when a woman's in her masculine or when she's in her feminine, and vice versa with men. You know, it's. I think it's a good read, but it's not like
no. I find that I don't know. This is gonna sound arrogant, but I feel like I've understood that for a very, very, very
and maybe you
long
have,
time.
yeah.
And so, gosh, I like it. This is hard to explain because it sounds arrogant.
Just say it.
Like,
You're good.
I feel like 20% of the when I read a book, I feel like 15 to 20% of the book is like good information. The rest of it's filler and
Fluff.
stories.
Yeah.
Right. The perfect example for this, and I will go, this is a hill I will fucking die on, right? Is Atomic Habits. I am like, this book should be 10 pages long. This is a pamphlet. And it is like, what, 250 or 260 pages? And it's just like story after story.
I will actually agree with you on that one. And so I'll stand on that hill with you. I think I read
We're going to have to battle hard because people love that book.
It's not a bad book, but you're right. I think I was about 40 pages in. And I'm like, I fucking get it.
Right.
I fucking get it. Like, it's fine. I don't need to finish this.
Create habits. So I have these friends I like to bust their balls. I just call it rules, right? Because everything in my world's a system, right? Like I'm going to create systems. So when you like write code, right? All you're doing is writing rules, right? If the user clicks the mouse over here, these 5 things can happen, right? It's just like, it's habit stacking or creating rules, right? That build your system. And if you habit stack in your life, your system's better. Basically, is the whole point of the freaking book.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, so I get in a plane, and I'm a fast reader, right? And I get in this plane to Texas, and I pound through like 65% of the book, right? Maybe 70% of the book on the way down, right? Like I didn't turn the media on. I didn't have headphones in. I actually put my headphones in, but I just turned the noise canceling on, right? Just to focus. And I'm like pounding through this book, and I'm like trying to take notes. And dude, I took notes for the first 10 minutes of it. And then after that, I didn't take any more notes. And I'm like, this is the same thing over and over again. So then I go down there. I was giving a speech in front of a bunch of people. Then we go out and do all that stuff. The next morning I get on the plane, and dude, I start reading the book again, and I just get so aggravated. I'm like, this is the same shit. You're wasting my time. So I pounded the last 2 chapters, pound them out, right? Just get the conclusion. And then I sat on this plane and thought about it. I'm like, I hate books. Like, you can't say that to people because people like love books so much. And I'm like, I'm 41 years old. If I live to 80, great. If I live to 90, awesome, right? My time is valuable. And I am like getting annoyed by reading these books that just repeat themselves over and over again. And dude, honestly, today is my wife's reading this book to me, and I'm not hating it. It's not like I'm like so polar that I'm like either love it or hate it, right?
Yeah.
It's always gray in the middle.
Sure.
But I'm like, if we're going to read every day, I'm just going to buy the Cliff Notes. And we're just going to read Cliff Note books, because even if I'm missing 5 or 10% more in this book,
right,
I will have read 15 books in the time that I can read 1 or 2.
It's not a bad way to do it.
So I'm like, so if you're talking about just straight gathering information, right? It's like not a bad way to go.
What was the last book that you read that you were like, this was fucking awesome? Like the whole thing, you were just like, this was good from start to finish.
Ooh.
I'm curious.
Probably, this is going to sound bad. God is Not Great by Christopher Hitchens.
What's that one on? Give me a quick.
Atheism.
Okay.
Yeah. Even though I'm not atheist anymore.
You're agnostic?
I hope.
You hope?
I hope.
Okay.
I hope there's an afterlife. I believe that there's a supreme being out there. I feel like there's more than just this existence on this planet. And I hope the pure faith of it that I get to be with my wife for eternity. That is.
You hope you're doing your best in this life.
Yeah.
So if something does happen in the next, you're
Even if nothing happens in the next life, like I am living my best life every day.
I think, yeah, especially in the religion here in Utah, like I kind of hate when they say like, oh, this is just a trial. This life is a trial. It's like, no, bitch, this is your one life.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
Like live it to the fullest. Like I'm kind of with you. Like, I don't know if there is a next life or what's happening next. So I'm not living by the set of rules that you think I should follow. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm exploring every avenue. At the same time, though, I've got standards, I've got morals, I've got, code of ethics, if you will, that I will follow. I want to be a good person. I'm not just going to be a shit person and do a bunch of stupid shit. But
that's kind of a karma rule.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you put good energy in the world, you get a lot of good back.
Right.
And it's not the tit for tat thing. It's the best way to live life. Mm-hmm. Like you can do whatever you want in this world when you're good to people.
Right.
When you're shitty to people, when you're dishonest and you lie, you cheat, or you do all this kind of stuff, right? All you do is wreck relationships along the way. And the stuff that's most fulfilling in this life is relationships and experiences.
100%.
Experiences are way better when you're with people that you love.
Oh,
right?
I love that. That was Brazil.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude.
That was Brazil, man. I remember on my post, I was like it's really typically not about the destination, it's who you're with.
Yeah.
But when the destination's incredible and you're with incredible people, it's just like, this is fucking awesome.
How's it get better?
It doesn't. That's life. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. And so, I would never not do something in this life thinking I'm going to be judged for it by a supreme being when I'm dead.
Right.
Right. And I grew up thinking that, of course.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Me too. I think it's all about your intentions.
Yeah.
It's all about, do I think this is okay for me? Does this hurt me? Does it affect other people? Does it hurt other people? Is it good for the world? Is it good for me? And if you believe that it's not hurting anyone else, it's good for you and it doesn't hurt the world, then go do it.
Yeah. Do it.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want.
Right.
Yeah. Enjoy your life. That's kind of thing too. Like in our walk group, we were in our little mastermind that we did last time, right? Mm-hmm. One of the guys asked like, man, this feels weird that I feel like I've kind of made it, and I don't know what to do with that. Right. And then some other person goes, well, you never really make it. Right. And I'm like, yes, you do. Yes, you do, guys. Every day. You need to make it every single day and enjoy your life every single day. Like, yes, there are going to be days you're going to have to grind. Then there's going to be days that are so awesome you don't want them to ever end, right? And the more you blend those two things together, you can enjoy your life. You don't always have to have some freaking crazy ass lofty goal, because a lot of guys will throw some financial goal out there, right? Like, well, I need to get to, $100 million. No, you freaking don't. And when you hit 100 million, you're going to be very, what's the word for it? The climax is going to be like, this is stupid.
Also,
I've given up years to get here.
Exactly. I think that's one thing people don't also think about in the moment is hitting $100 million. It's not free. It's going to cost you stuff. It's going to cost you time, lost experiences, relationships, a lot of things. So there's a cost for everything, right? And I like what Jimmy says, where it's smart to be like strategically in balance, because sometimes you need to focus on your finances if you have $20 in your bank account. Right.
Yes.
You need to put everything else on the back burner and bring that up. Yeah. But I don't know who it was in the group, but even if you say he's made it, right? What, financially? That's like 20% of your life.
Well, he actually meant everything.
Oh, so he is just in full balance of everything. Connections, adventure, tribe, spirituality. Well, good for him.
Honestly, I kind of felt the same way.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of connected with him on that. Now, that doesn't mean I'm hitting 100% all the time, right? Or every cylinder, or like I'm not going to like make a mistake or have to fix something, or like there's relationships I can make better, right? Mm-hmm. But I think everything's at a level where everything's good.
Good. Right? I love that.
And so like I'm at a point in my life where I can only screw it up from here, right? But I won't, because I built it in a way that I'm doing what I want every day, like podcasting, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not doing this to make money. Right. I like this.
Right.
Now, will I make money with it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. I really don't care. I've had, I don't know, probably 20 people try and sponsor it. And I'm just like, nah, You know, they're not paying me enough to sponsor it. Number one, they always want some weird screwy ass deal, right? 3 of them or 4 of them are like CBD companies, right? And I'm like, I'm not really the weed guy, so no, it doesn't really fit, right?
Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, it's like, but like at my businesses, right? When I go and meet with my employees and my management teams, like dude, I like love these people. They're great, you know, and I enjoy my interaction with them. We talk business for 10 minutes,
Right.
right? At my level, it's just confirming stuff. They just want to hear from me that like they're not on the wrong path,
Right.
And I just want to look and make sure that they're not on the wrong path, and
then
they're
you
on the
trust
right
them.
path. And then from there, it's like, what's going down, man? What are you working on?
What's life?
Yeah,
like,
my GM in the flooring company, dude, he's writing a book.
hell yeah.
His episode just released on Tuesday. He was
nice.
I can't remember what exact crime was, but he got 20 years. It was a federal crime. He ended up going to a private for-profit prison on the border of Mexico and Texas or Arizona. I can't remember.
Holy
It
shit.
was Texas. Oh, it was brutal. He did 5 years. He's only been out for a year and a half. His first job was working for us,
Wild.
you know? And like people hear that and they're just like, what? You hired him? And I'm like, he's awesome. You know, but he is paying for some shit. You know what I mean? There's some stuff in his life he has to pay for. And I look at my life and I'm like, if he's going to work hard, he doesn't have financial access to anything. It's not like I need to worry about him laundering money. He just needs to work hard.
Sure.
And he's a fantastic worker.
People can change.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think it's.
He got a wake up call.
Yeah. Well, people change for 2 reasons: pain or pleasure.
Right.
Right. So either it has to hurt enough or it has to feel good enough to change.
Right.
So, and he was probably feeling that pain. So that's where real change happens.
See, and even with him too, right? Like he's a guy that's like, Mark, I don't need millions of dollars. He goes, I want to have enough. You know, he's got 4 kids, I think. And, you know, he's got a girlfriend now, and obviously his wife left him and all this kind of crazy stuff and all that went down. And he's like, I just want to be happy. Like, I love the work that we do. I love dealing with like the NBA teams and the NCAA teams and like clients, and we build beautiful things. You know, like the floors we do are really pieces of art, right? I mean, there's many hours that go into them. There's design work, there's teams, there's all this stuff, you know, and it's cool. Like the Golden State Warriors, I don't know if you noticed this on my Instagram, but like they won the championship last year, right? And so they gave me and my entire team championship rings.
No way.
They're the exact same ring. It just doesn't have real diamonds in it.
That's
Have you not
sick.
seen it? I got to show it to you.
No.
Oh, it's badass, bro.
Why? What, you have a relationship with them? Like
Yeah.
you did
So we
their
do all
floor?
their floors.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Oh,
so we do all their floors. And so they, and they're good to us, man. And we're good to them. We like them. I love their operations team.
Yeah.
There's a man over there named David Marsh. He was he ran the Toronto Raptors. Then he came to the Golden State Warriors. He's a Canadian guy. He's freaking dope.
Yeah.
Like every time I have an interaction with him, he's super professional. I really like him. He's friendly. He's good to me. We're good to him. He can call us. We go I mean, it's like a perfect relationship, right?
Yeah.
Like we're just good to each other.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that he's the one that made that happen. I know for a fact he was. Like he will never admit that. He's gracious and he says it came down from the top, and it's like, you know, all of our vendors, and it's like, oh, bullshit. Every one of your vendors, not a chance. You know what I mean? And I know that because I know a couple of the vendors that didn't get some. Right. And they're great people too. But like, I know it's because he likes us, but it's like, it's such a rewarding thing to like be loved by that. And like, then they hit us up and like, so my guys, it was funny. My shop for that's up in Shelley, Idaho, you know, so it's like 3.5 hours away from here. And I think it was CBS Sports or NBC Sports came up and filmed us, filmed all those guys, right? Interviewed all of them. And they were, you know, they like all my guys are on this freaking, so we did the San Jose State floor, which we have this proprietary glow in the dark paint that we can paint on floors. No one else in the world can do it.
Sick.
And so they made their floor look like a microchip. And if you hit it with black lights, it'll look like the floor is actually shooting electricity, right? Because we put
sick.
blue glow in the dark stuff on it, right? And so they did this whole expose. They want to do a like a 3 or 5 part miniseries with us and put it on like NBC.
Wow.
Right? Because when they ended up filming us, we were way more interesting than the college, quite frankly, right? Because how we build the panels, we're up in Idaho. It's this freezing cold motherfucking place, right? It's like, this is where these things are built. It's like, yeah, in Podunk, Shelley, Idaho. You know what I mean? And like, because I mean, no one knows where that place is unless you've freaking been there.
Right.
And but like just the relationship with these guys, and it's like me and the other owner, we weren't even in the video. So Jared, our general manager, he's in the video, all of our employees, and they made them all look awesome. And it's like this.
I love that though. And I love that I can tell from your energy that you're okay with that. And it's like you celebrate others, right? Let them be the star, let them be the champions. You know, you that's not what's important to you.
No, not
right?
at all.
I love that.
No, they wanted us to come up, and I'm like, I'm too busy about it, you know. And like, if they do the mini series, I'm sure I'll be part of it, right?
Sure.
But like, really, at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, good for you guys. This is dope. I mean, they got the drones flying over the city, the waterfalls going into our shop. Like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I'll link you the little post on.
Yeah, I want to see it. That's sick, dude.
You know, kind of going back though, it's like, but this life, man, it's just about good relationships. And if you treat people good, it just comes back to you in droves.
Yeah, I was talking to my real estate team. I do a lot of like workshops or masterminds for them and kind of just help them. And the same recurring thing that I just tell all new agents or agents that come to my masterminds is give a shit about your people.
Yeah.
You give a shit about your people and they will take care of you.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not just your clients, it's your lender, it's your transaction coordinator, it's the people you interact with every single day. That's your people, right? Care about them, give a shit about them.
Yeah.
They're people, they're humans, they have feelings, they have emotions, right? We've got a job to do, right? Let's get the job done. Let's be smart about that. But at the same time, if you give a shit about your people, it's all going to come right back to you. Right. And relationships is absolutely everything in life. And sometimes that is the difference maker of whether you are a little successful or extremely successful, right? Because you build a genuine relationship with someone who maybe opens a door for you. And they pick you as the vendor because they like you. That's literally, obviously you got to do your job well. And I can pick you just based on that. But that can be the decision maker. It's like, Mark's actually a badass guy. So let's go with him and his floors are sick.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. He's competent.
Right.
Yeah. I'm writing a book called Likability, the perfect characteristic or something, right? I haven't fully named it all yet.
Likability. That's important.
I'm telling you, it's the most important characteristic because you have to be honest and you have to be competent. You have to be fun, right? It's really the three pillars of being likable, right? And if you take any of them away, right? Like if you're not fun, if you're competent and honest, like, okay, like we like him, he can get the job done, but like, we don't like him all that much.
Well, we're not going out to beers with you. Yeah.
But if you're competent in what you do and you're fun, but you're not honest, no one's going to touch you. Right?
All right.
But if you're fun and you're honest, but you're not capable, you're also disqualified.
You just party.
Yeah. It's just like, well, it's like, yeah, we love him and he's fun to have around, but like, I can't trust him to freaking drive a truck.
Wouldn't do business with him.
Yeah.
I've got some people like that in my life.
Oh, tons. Oh, dude, when this will burn your brain later. You'll be like, holy shit, he is absolutely right with a lot of relationships.
Oh, I've already got a few popping in my head.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. And I like how you categorize those three things though.
Yeah.
I'm going to start analyzing people that way. But I've already been like, oh, I'd go hang out with you, but I would not do business with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I've already recognized
And and selfishly, right, like I feel like I actually have all three of those things. And the reason why I'm writing this book is because it's like the one thing I feel like I'm an expert in, you know. I'm pretty good in certain aspects of life. Like a lot of things I'm not. Like medical stuff, I don't know a damn thing. That's why I have Nick, right? Just let Nick freaking roll. But like people are like, man, you just have like this charisma about you, like this whole thing. People just like want to do business with you. I'm like, well, and I started thinking about it. I'm like, it's because I'm honest. They do business with me because I'm competent and I'm fun. I can be fun, you know? And I'm like, actually, the more I think about it, I've been marinating on this for like 5 years, right? Like, dude, you should see my notes. Like,
I love that.
Turn my notes into a book.
No, I love that.
And it's like, but yeah, it's perfect, right?
You should do a whole little segment on that.
Yeah.
Likability. It's true. When you spell it out that way, it's 100% true.
Yeah.
In any industry.
Yeah.
It can apply to anything.
Yeah.
Whether you're a piano player, a dentist, a doctor, a real estate agent.
Right.
Yeah.
We all have those people we work with who are total assholes.
Yeah.
And if we have someone we liked, we don't even care if it costs more.
Right.
That's my boy, because I like to take this dude's phone call.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Or like when I see him, it's like, hey, like he makes me feel good about myself.
Right.
You know, he makes me feel like, and part of that too is being competent, right? It's like, I feel good because he's like doing my tile work, right? And he like makes it look really good, and he's like, it's all pretty. It's exactly what I want, and he's competent. He can be like, hey, don't do this, do this. You know, like this will actually flow better. I know the way the guy designed this, but it really needs to have like a lip or like something, right? A sluter or something, right? And you're like, oh, cool. And he's like, yeah, man. So what's new, bro? Hey, listen to this bullshit that happened to me, man. I jumped off a cliff in Moab. Isn't that wild? Look at this video.
Right.
Like, I freaking like this dude. He's just like himself.
Right.
You know, like authentic and all those little characteristics kind of flow down the chart, you know. So I got to tell a million stories to get this book to 400 pages. Right?
Yeah, there you go. Over and over again. You're going to hate your own book.
I'm going to beat this all down. Exactly.
You're going to be like,
Dude, I'll tell you, I'll write this book. It'll be 45 pages long, and I'll be like, F it, publish it. Because it's just going to be like.
That could be cool, though. You could be like, cut to the chase.
Yeah. Opening line: I value your time as much as I value mine. Enjoy the next 37 pages.
And then just shit on Atomic Habits. So this isn't going to be like Atomic Habits that repeats the same things for hundreds of pages.
I know, dude. I keep making that my thing, dude. Like I'm the anti-Atomic Habits guy. Just freaking who the hell?
Blow up on TikTok.
Yeah.
That's
it's like
funny.
Skip Bayless, dude. He's built an entire career on shitting on LeBron James and Tom Brady.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh gosh, dude. Anyways, don't get me off of Skip Bayless. But so what's new for Adrian, man? What's the future hold for you? What's your 3-year goal?
3-year goal. That's a great question. I should probably like have a plan or something, right?
Yeah.
I am going to be selling houses. Yeah. I think that's still for at least the next 3 years. But what I'm really starting to focus more on is my impact in the community. I really want to be more involved in my communities. That's one of the reasons why I'm starting this podcast or my podcast, the Mindset with Maco podcast, because I want to connect with influential and interesting people in the community, which, I guess in one way or another, kind of like you said, will probably maybe help me make money and help me sell more houses, things like that. But that's not like at the forefront of that's like not my goal, right? That's not what I had one of my past clients here last night, who they have this incredible IVF story. Long story short, they did it for like 2 years straight. On their last embryo, they had a less than 1% chance of getting pregnant, and they got pregnant. It's just this incredible story. And I remember after she was like, this is not about real estate at all. I'm like, no, like I might have some real estate people on here. Like I had a guy who sold over 200 homes, but we didn't really talk about that. We talk about what that did to him in his mental life and at home. Like, I want to go deeper. So I'm trying to chase my purpose, I think, a little more these next few years. Selling houses and real estate, it's what I do. Yeah. But it's not who I am. Yeah. So I'm still trying to tap into that. I think what I want the best for the people around me. That's kind of like the start of my statement to my purpose. I'm still like fine tuning it, I think, and I will as life goes on. So I think the first thing that I could do is give people a platform to tell their stories, and it can hopefully inspire or connect with other people. And that way I help the people around me. So
yeah, very cool.
That's kind of like the premise, I guess you would say, about my 3 year. It's not like this like well thought out 3-year plan, but it's kind of like where I'm leaning my energy in towards, No,
I like that a lot. I mean, my goal with my podcast, right? I'd wanted to do it forever. I had all these ideas, all these things I was going to do. And then out of nowhere, right, I was just like, why are you wasting time? Just go do it. Mm-hmm. Right. And so once I started doing it, I thought, okay, I'm going to go for 3 years. I'm going to release 2 episodes a week. And at the end, at 6 months up to the 3 years, I am then going to decide where I'm going to take the podcast.
Right.
That's it. Right. Up until then, it's just going to be straight content dump. Just boom, 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 boom.
I love that.
And we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why it's calculated, it's not just like, thought about that one day. My biggest thing with that was, everyone told me that you need 2 years to build your audience. Like you can cheat it, you can slam a bunch of money into it if you want, but really at the end of the day, it takes 2 years to start building an audience.
That makes sense.
And I was like, okay, cool. And I think, to me, with podcasts are funny, right? Because people are going to float in and out of them, right? Like I do not expect anyone to listen to every one of my podcasts, but I actually have a lot of people that have.
I love that.
It's interesting. I get, you start getting a lot of texts and DMs and be like, I love this one episode and this thing was so cool and blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. You know, and you're kind of like, holy crap, you listen to like every freaking podcast I've ever put out. You're like, today I released number 61.
Wow, dude, that's awesome.
And I have 4 more queued up. And then so this week I'm recording another 6.
Nice. Wow. Holy shit. 6 this week? Yeah. Wow. I thought I was pumping them out like 3 a week.
Yeah, I pound them.
Yeah,
I
you
pound
do.
them out.
That's awesome.
So, are you doing 3 a week?
Well, I'm recording about 2 to 3 a week.
Okay,
yeah. But I'll be releasing them weekly, kind of just stashing them so I can release every week.
Yeah. Oh, you have to.
Yeah.
Oh, you have, dude. If you don't, like, if you're doing every week, you should always have 4 queued.
Right.
Because I try and always have 6 queued, and I've cut it close.
Yeah.
Before, because stuff will happen, right?
Yeah.
Like,
totally.
well, we were supposed to record
a few weeks ago,
or whatever. Yeah. I got crazy sick, right?
Yeah.
Was it an afternoon or was that a morning?
It was an afternoon.
Yeah, dude. Because I woke up, and I never get sick.
Yeah.
My wife, dude. This is my funny thing with my wife, right? I actually thought it was allergies, right?
Oh yeah.
To this day, if she listens on my podcast, so she'll be laughing at this. But whenever I'm sick, I just tell people I have allergies. And she's like, you don't have allergies. You're sick. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure it's allergies. To the point where I take Benadryl, right? Where I'm just like, no, dude, I don't ever get sick. And she's like walks out of the room, you know, she's like, I can't handle you.
It's like you have a fever, body aches, a cough, allergies.
Yeah, you can't stay awake. You're sniffling and sneezing.
It's allergies.
It's just allergies.
Give me Claritin, I'm good.
But that's why we have our wives. They're always the best, right?
Yeah, absolutely. My wife is, she motivates me.
Yeah.
She inspires me.
Oh, she's cool, man. I like your wife a lot. It was fun spending time with her in Brazil.
Yeah, absolutely. Yours too.
When are you going to have babies? I'm going to be your mother-in-law.
Oh my God. No, it's not my mother-in-law. It's my mother. My mother's the one that's been like, when are we going to have babies? Hopefully soon.
Is that the 3-year plan?
That's it for sure in the 3-year plan, starting a family. Yeah, we're more focused on that this year, and we're working towards. Now we're like, what's it called? Consciously trying.
Yeah. So you practice a lot, I'm sure.
A lot of practice.
It's time to jump in the game.
It's time to jump in the game.
You're talking about practice.
Plant the seed. Practice. Yeah, exactly. So,
cool. Yeah, that'd be fun, man.
Yeah.
Kids are just. I do this funny thing, dude, with people. You know, I like to journey. Journey's fun, right? Mm-hmm. So my last journey, we had a shaman there, him and his girlfriend, right? You know, once you're in the medicine, you know, you're kind of like, Josh Sherwood always teases me, I love, mm-hmm. right? Like, just love. And these guys are like, you know, they're a little bit older than us. They're like 45-ish, I think, something like that, I think. And they're sitting there talking, you know, and they're facilitating, right? So they're not on anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why aren't you guys married? And they're like, what? Well, you know, they kind of start waffling. The girl just goes, well, it's up to him, you know? And I'm like, what the heck, man? Like, let's make this freaking happen. What? And he's like, well, you know, I mean, there's so many things to consider. I'm like, what, you don't like waking up to her every morning? And he was like, I do like waking up to her in the morning. And I'm like, well, if you marry her, you're going to do that every day.
Right.
You know? And he was just like, all right then, you know, blah, blah, blah. So they ended up leaving about halfway through, right? You know, they needed to be there all night. And I was like, you know, he said to him, I'm like, hey, let me know when the wedding is, you know, blah, blah, blah. I want to be there. And they're just like, okay, you know, like the crazy dude that they came to his house kind of thing, you know? And it was, I don't know, dude, I just love that stuff. And part of it is because it brings me a lot of joy, right? Same as you, right? You know, you get these wives and it's like, you got this life partner and it's cool. And then the next level to that, dude, is creating someone who looks and thinks and is half you and half her.
That's, I think those are where you can feel the biggest, sort of word I'm looking for. The most important things in life, I feel like, are going to be found in when you find a life partner and when you make your own children.
Yeah.
Like, that is what I feel like, for that I've seen from other people. I don't have kids yet, but I have a great wife.
Yeah.
That's what's going to make you feel the most fulfilled.
Yeah.
And give you, you know, not your entire purpose, but like it will add to your purpose, you know?
No, I think another thing I talk about before we kind of wrap up for the day, I give this speech to people, especially in journeys, right? Where I'm like, your entire world is your perspective. It's not mine. It's not your wife's. It's not your mom's. It's not your preacher, your best friend, right? Like, your whole world is your perspective, right? The way you interact with me and the way I interact with you is a direct reflection on your perspective of me.
Totally.
Right? If you see me as fun and outgoing and you interact with me as fun and outgoing, then I end up being fun and outgoing towards you. If you're intimidated by me and you're like shy and you're not really engaging with me because you're like, I don't know about this guy, or he's this, or he's loud, or he's whatever, you know, like your perspective is how you interact with people.
Mm-hmm.
And I try and like break that down with everybody, right? And really what I'm trying to get to the point is once they kind of like get that concept, because a lot of people don't understand that. They're like, well, yeah, but I mean, what if someone hits me, right? Like, that's not me interacting with them. I'm like, absolutely it is. That's how you show up in the world. They thought it was okay to hit you. Like, it's,
facts.
You start kind of getting into this and you're like, oh, it really is. Like, you're in control of everything. How do we know that we see the same colors? How do we know that when I feel hot, you feel hot? Maybe what I feel is cold is hot. You know what I'm saying? Like, you kind of get philosophical with it.
Sure.
But really, at the end of the day, it's like everything in your life is an appendage to you, right? Your wife is that's why you have to, number one has to be you.
Right.
You have to take care of your mental health, your physical health.
Right.
All these things, you have to take care of you first. It's like, you know, the oxygen that pops down in the plane. You have to take care of you first before you can help anybody else.
Right.
Because if you're broken and weak, you can't show up for other people.
Yeah. If you can't show up for yourself,
kids,
you can't show up for anyone else.
And the best part about kids is they are like the pure joy appendage of you, right? They're not hard. People say kids are hard. They're not, dude. They're really not. They can be a pain in the ass, right?
Yeah.
But they're not hard. You're so attached to them, dude, that they will like give you a look and you're like, shit, that was like looking in a mirror. Or it's like, damn, that's my freaking wife. You know what I mean? It's like my little girls, I mean, my kids are homeschooled, right?
Yeah.
So they say all sorts of crap that my wife says, right?
Right.
And the way they think is kind of the way she thinks. And then, but same with me, because I'm very interactive with them when I'm around them, you know? And like my oldest daughter is very witty. Right. She like has like one little one-liners and I'm like, dude, that is so like me. It's not even funny. Right?
Yeah.
And it brings you like this just sweeping energy joy, you know? And even when they break stuff and my son can't eat anything without it just being all over his face. And I always look at him and I go, can you not feel that? And he's like, oh, Dad, you know, I'm just like, how do you not feel that? It's like up to your freaking ears, you know? But I built a relationship with him where like I could tease him and like he knows that I'm not like busting his balls per se, but it's like,
yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe I'll get crucified for saying the kids aren't hard. They're just not. You know, they if you're doing it right, you should mostly feel happy with them. It doesn't mean you don't yell, you don't make mistakes, and like, you know, you'll have days where you're like, what the hell, this is a lot, you know?
Right.
Like right now, since my kids don't listen to this yet, my kids are all over me. Right. Whenever I'm around them, right? Like they're crawling on me, they're pulling on me. They're all dad. And it's just like, oh, especially if I'm not being present, right? It's actually a major indicator to me when I'm not being present, because then I'm like, I start feeling annoyed, right? Where I'm like, I want to say, give me a minute. And then I just have this like, almost like feeling of like total, like this time will pass. So if you want to go sit on your phone in the toilet and play games to decompress, you're missing all these moments with your kids. There'll be a time where they will not be all over you.
Right.
Where they don't want to wrestle with you, where they don't want to play games with you, where they don't want to tell you about your day. So go fuck this up if you want.
Yeah.
Or let them claw all over you.
And drop everything and embrace them.
And the one thing I'm real good at is letting them just crawl all over me, just almost bury me.
Yeah.
Right? And it's fun too. Right? It's like, but I think that's like the attitude, right? Like if you look at your kids like a burden, right? Or when they are a burden, if you can't flip it quickly to them not being a burden or like not do that, then yeah, kids are probably really hard for you.
Right.
You know? And that's not saying I'm a superior parent or anything like that. I'm just kind of giving a little bit of a gem out there to people where it's like, change your mindset.
Right.
Right. Towards your kids. And then they become so much better, right?
Right.
My daughter writes me a note almost every day. It's essentially the same note. You know, it's just like, I love you. I want to marry you. I miss you, Dad. Write me back. Blah, 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 blah. You know, give me a phone. You know, and, you know, then like, I don't know. I've heard this thing my whole life. Well, my whole parenting life is, if you want your kids to talk to you when they're older, you have to listen to them now. Right?
It's so true, man.
Like no matter what, right?
Like, yeah, I felt that in my own life for sure.
Yeah.
Like my relationship with my mom is totally honest. Like Kim is even like, you tell your mom everything. I'm like, yeah, dude. My mom, like we've talked like, and she started when I was a kid. My dad didn't talk to me a lot when I was a kid. We did not talk about our feelings, emotional. We just didn't get on that level. So now it's so unnatural and weird for me to talk to him at any kind of a deeper level.
Right. And that's sad.
It is sad.
And you know who it's sad for? Him.
Yeah, and he feels it. I know he does. And he still doesn't talk to me though. He vents to my mom about it, and my mom tells me, and it's just like, it is what it is.
Of Lincoln Park, you have to break the cycle.
Break the habit, right? Yeah.
Break the habit. That's right. Break the habit. Sorry, super fan.
Super fan.
Well, my friend, we got to wrap up.
I know.
So I always have my people give me their best 2 minutes of advice, and we'll end with that.
To your audience?
To whoever you want.
I would say if there's something that you feel drawn to and you gravitate towards, whatever that may be, whether that's a career, a person, an interest, lean towards it, because it's the universe telling you that it's something you need to do. I think for too much time we fight against that, or we overanalyze things and overthink things and want to try to do something perfectly or scared to mess up. But at the end of the day, you're just avoiding the universe calling you towards what you're destined to do and become. So lean into that and don't be scared.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, my man. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
I appreciate
Super excited to have you on. I love being around you.
Love you too, bro.
You're one of the dudes in the wall. I just freaking
you too, man.
When you walk in, man.
You too, bro. I'll see you Sunday.
See you.
Thanks for listening to the President McCormack Podcast, brought to you by McCormack Foundation, Saxton Fund, ADP Lemco, and Professional Floor Systems. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and keep up with Mark on Instagram @President McCormack.